This is something I seem to always put in my cart every time I go to Costco. These are so delicious, and if you've had them, you know how delicious they are. They're green olives stuffed with garlic and jalapeno. And I have to tell you, these are just delightful to have, with any meal that you're serving, any charcuterie platter, a side, is just a side, along with sandwiches or whatever. But these are a lifesaver when you go through cold and flu season, because this is such a great way to get garlic into you to help. Garlic is an antiviral, antimicrobial, antibacterial. It's one of those superfoods. And this is such a delicious way to get the garlic into you. Now, if you like to just eat a whole garlic clove, you can certainly do that. And it's supposed to be very healthy to take a garlic clove a day. But this is just a really delicious way to do it. The jalapeno, brings some spice to the table, and the olives and the pickled nature of all of this helps kind of soften the intensity of the garlic a little. But my husband was laughing because he said a jar of these would last him a year. A jar of these would last my son and me maybe 2 days. If we're going through cold and flu season, we have just sat down and eaten a bunch of them. And I'm telling you, they make you feel better. But I always have these in my fridge. I just love these. And it's not something really, I'll have to maybe do this going forward, especially since I live near olive ranches and I might be able to buy olives right from the tree. Although those are for making olive oil. So I know there's differences, between eating olives and the olives they grow to make olive oil. But we've got what we call olive ranches, which I think is very cute here in the Texas Hill Country. We've got those olive ranches around us. But I've never tried curing my own olives. It's an interesting idea and something I'll have to think about in the future. But these are reasonable and they're tasty. And I feel like they're such a superfood that I go down the aisle where they sell them and I'm like, oh, okay, I got to put one of those in my cart. And for $6.99, I feel this is a good buy. Yes, olives can kind of run the gamut and be all different prices and all different varieties. You've got the black ones and the ones that, when they do the Mediterranean style, those are delicious. But for $6.99, these are always going to be in my fridge, stuffed with garlic and jalapeno. Now, these beets are a real convenience. I love beets and I buy them fresh and prepare them. I buy them in the can and we enjoy them. And when I saw these, I thought that this was really clever. And all things considered, the price is not unreasonable, because in this box there are 3 bags. And each bag is vacuum packed. The beets have already been peeled. They're organic. And what they're saying is being vacuum packed, they're really super fresh. And each pack is 17.6 ounces. So that's a fairly good amount. And the whole box is 3.3 pounds, because each bag is a little more than a pound. And the price, I just looked at it. Now I've got $7.99. So that's like $2. My husband just did the math for me. $2 and change per bag. And yes, this is a convenience, but in the same way like having canned beets on hand are a convenience. And if you're the type of person who, just buying fresh beets, I like to buy fresh beets because you get the beet greens also. We're going to talk about greens in a minute, because there's been a lot of talk about greens and oxalates and whatnot, and you really have to look to how traditional cultures ate greens, and I'll share that with you in a minute. But to protect against the oxalates, and which can lead, if the term is new to you, oxalates can create kidney stones in people who are susceptible. But going back to that, we'll talk about that in a second. But I like to buy the fresh beets because I get the beet greens too. And beet greens are delicious, prepared with some olive oil and lemon juice or butter and garlic, olive oil and garlic, whatever way you saute them up quick. Very nutritious, very tasty. But I also just like to eat beets on a regular basis. And I may not always be up for the peeling and the cutting and all that, you know, and if you've worked with beets, you know, they can be messy, and I'm not one to be putting on gloves and all of that. I don't mind if my hands get a little stained, but these are just so convenient. And beets are something, whether you buy them fresh, whether you buy them canned, or whether you buy them like this. And I really like, you know, along with my way of thinking about multiple streams of food, I like having beets in different preparations, whether they're fresh in my fridge, canned, or in this new vacuum sealed pack way, because beets are high in nitrates. But don't be afraid when you hear that, because you often hear, oh, don't eat nitrates and nitrites, you know. But that's like when they're commercially made and used to cure different types of food. When nitrates occur naturally in food, they're very good for us, because what happens when we eat foods that contain nitrates, they turn into nitric oxide in our body. And I pulled this up on my phone because I didn't want to miss anything for you. But nitric oxide plays a crucial role in various bodily functions. Its benefit includes cardiovascular health. It dilates blood vessels, reducing blood pressure. It protects against cardiovascular disease. And you know, it's really interesting, because I remember, this is going back so many years ago when I was a single gal and I lived in New York City, and I worked with a girl, and I don't remember exactly what her health condition was, but I remember her sharing with me that her doctor had told her how important it was to eat beets. And so it's always kind of stuck in my mind. But it's very good for immune function. It activates immune cells, enhancing their response to infections and cancer. It regulates inflammation and reduces oxidative stress, you know, because oxidation is like damage. And these all link to scientific studies that I'm sharing with you. You know, this is not someone just saying, oh, I think it does this, that, or anything. This is where scientists studied this and found this to be the case about foods with that had nitrates that created nitric oxide in the body. A neurological function improves blood flow to the brain, supporting cognitive function and memory. Acts as a neurotransmitter, facilitating communication between nerve cells. It also helps with muscular function, increases blood flow to muscles, enhancing exercise performance and recovery. It promotes muscle growth and strength. And then other benefits, it reduces pain and inflammation in certain conditions such as arthritis. That's good to know, especially as we age. And even better, may have anti-aging effects by protecting cells from damage. So that I just find very interesting what the scientific research shows about beets. And my mother loved eating beets, and she lived to be 98, actually just a few weeks shy of her 99th birthday. So beets, honey, and yogurt, and prunes. These were things that were like in her almost daily repertoire. So if I can find beets in different forms, whether vacuum packed like this or in cans or fresh, I'm going to add them to my repertoire in my kitchen, my traditional foods kitchen. Yeah. And so I think that I've seen these at Costco. It's I can't really say if there's something new or not new. I'm kind of including here things that I buy on a regular basis, as I mentioned in the beginning, but I also want to share with you new things that I've seen at Costco that I never saw before, or things that are new to me, things that I have seen at Costco, and I have seen this before, but I never purchased it. But sometimes I break down and say, okay, I'm putting it in the cart.